I decided to make some gum paste popcorn, and the first thing I did was to make some the way that everybody always makes it, which is to make little round balls and cut out little flower shapes using little flower cutters. I use this cutter. This is the little Wilton Funky Flowers cutter that's irregular, and that actually works pretty well for this. If you want a cartoony kind of popcorn, that's what you're going to get. Because popcorn is not round like this, it's not smooth, and it doesn't have the little pieces attached. I mean, it looks okay if that's what you're looking for, but it's not realistic. All right, this is real popcorn. Real popcorn has a texture to it. It's created when the water inside the kernel explodes outward and basically like busts the whole thing apart. So you get an explosion, you don't get a little smooth shape. And there's nothing regular or the same about any of these except for the part that it's blown out. That's it. So keep that in mind when you're doing that. And you need to get some real popcorn and look at it when you're doing this. So after experimenting with different ways of making the texture and attaching, you know, everybody cuts out the balls and attaches these little things to it. You don't need any cutters to make real looking popcorn. Okay, so this is what I came up with. It's got a texture to it. Looks like it's exploded. You paint it on the inside, and you can make it very simply without any kind of cutters or anything. The only tool that I use for this, this is a Sculpey clay tool. You get it in a set of 3. There's a large ball, a small ball, and this is the medium ball. And this one has a flat edge. I don't know if you can see that. It's flat on the side. It's not pointed. So this one has a flat edge you can use to cut, or you can use to flatten things out. But this is the end. It's the middle one that you want. And they make these, you know, out of silicone for cakes now, and there's a name for them. It's the colored ones. They're made of silicone, but you can just get this at the craft store. It's all you need. Okay, so you need that, and you need a piece of tin foil, and that's it. So this is super simple. I've started with, this is a little bit of gum paste that I've put some yellow food coloring in. You want it to be a little yellow. This might be a little too yellow, but you know, depending on whether people are used to real popcorn or the artificial popcorn that you put in the microwave and it has the fake butter flavor on it, this looks okay. So it's a light yellow. This is the white, and you can see the difference without any food coloring or with the yellow in it. And popcorn is not completely white unless you make it without any kind of food coloring, which is what I usually do, but people are not used to that anymore. All right, so take about, well, you can make this any size, but the smaller that you make it, actually the better it looks, because when the popcorn explodes, the piece that's left over, the round piece, is usually smaller than the exploded part, which is, you know, I've been looking at real popcorn for a while, so that's kind of what I figured out. So take the piece of tin foil, kind of crumple it up so it has a texture to it. You want to take your ball, and like I said, you can make this any number of sizes. Just experiment and see what you like. Kind of press it in there, and you're going to use the tin foil to support it while you're working on it, because that way it'll kind of press the texture into it. Okay, take the round ball. I'm going to dip this in a little bit of Crisco just to keep it from sticking to the gum paste. And if the gum paste is sticking, it's just a little too soft or sticky, use some Crisco in the tool or whatever. So kind of hollow it out down to about halfway or however long you want to do it. And you know, like I said, this is very irregular, so you can do it however you want. And kind of splay that out, and as it presses against the tin foil, it's going to give it that texture. Then just kind of cut random cuts into it to show where it kind of exploded. And you can even press some pieces down so that there's nothing there. But just keep it in the tin foil so that when you're working with it, it's going to keep that wrinkly texture on the outside. Okay, and pinch the edges a little bit if you have to, because those are going to get curved back in. All right, so now I've got that, and now I want to make it look like it kind of has a ridge. So I'm going to turn that there and take the flat end of this tool. That's why you use this tool. And just kind of press that in. There's no pattern to this. There's that. Okay, and then just take your hand. Actually, I'm going to leave it in the tin foil, because if I press on it and flatten it out, it's going to be flat. I don't want that. And then you just kind of curve the edges in a little bit. And you can do that with the tool also if you want to just, you know, press it like this. Okay, so that will give you a piece that has, it's rounded, it's open, it looks like there's an indentation here. You can kind of adjust it, you know, just look at it and change it the way you want it. And if you wanted to do an extra piece sticking out here, you know, like it's exploded in 2 different areas, you can just cut a section here, kind of do the same thing. So, you know, just like I said, look at real popcorn, see how it's shaped. But just keep it in the tin foil the whole time, and that way any pressure that you put on it is going to make that texture. All right, so there's a piece. That looks good and exploded. Okay, and I'm going to fold that in just a little bit more, and I'm going to sit and let that dry. And let's see. Actually, I'll paint this because I don't have any other ones to show you. So now I've taken some, this is ivory colored airbrush paint. It's airbrush color. And just take a tiny bit and you want to dab it. And I kind of thinned this out with a little bit of water. This is a little dark. But you just want to dab it inside. And this is actually good to do while the little popcorn is still wet. And if you look at popcorn, it's not completely solid. It's got like little, it's where this is the kernel that you're actually painting, and it's been blown apart, so it's kind of dotted. So anywhere you've put a little explosion, you just want to put a little bit of color. So when you're done, you've got a little piece that looks like real popcorn. All right, so that's it. You don't need any cutters, you don't need any tools except for your nice little Sculpey tool. I love these Sculpey tools so much. I have this, I bought 2 sets because I lost one of them and I needed the replacements, but I went and got the same set. So that's all. Leave me any questions, but that, you know, that's basically that's it. And this is going to be a little time consuming. Once you get the hang of it, it can go pretty fast, but it's not going to be something that you can take, you know, you can't make 50 of them in a minute, so just be aware of that. So like I said, leave me any questions and I'll answer them as soon as I get a chance.